right, I think I did it. All right. So as you can see, we had a snowstorm last night. Beautiful. You know, it snowed, started snowing yesterday afternoon, but there's a lot of rain in it. The snow is super wet. There might have actually been ice at some point, I don't know. But we took a bunch of limb damage. And by a bunch, I mean some pretty critical limb damage. Now, you can see, you know, so road is mostly, you see the road? Road is mostly slush. I'm on the camera because, of course, Lynn neither gets up before 10, nor does she go outside when it's cold. So there you go. That's what our road looks like. No big deal. I don't have to get out. You know that. I can stay right here. There's some of the tree damage there. That's going to be a booger to get out. See, it's snagged up in the tree. Can you see that? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm on. So there you go. At any rate, it's snagged up in the tree. That's going to be a booger. That's a super dangerous one. I'll have to come in at the bottom and cut a bunch of the limbs and then try to flip it out so that it doesn't fall on my head. And of course, I've got to do it around the fish pond and that and that. But that's not the worst thing that happened. See, some more limbs came down over there. See, here's one. And let's see if I can get the right angle. You can see that one. Let me see if I can use this zoomy thing. Okay, so that one, if you can see, has punched a hole in the room that in the building that we keep books in. So I have to fix that like right now. I have to go get a ladder and come and fix that. I can't fix it completely. I'll fix it completely when it's warmer, because right now it's freezing or below, and the wind chill's at like 28. But it's still, we still have water under the snow, which is going to make this job so nice because it's cold. And see that? There's still wet water I'm going to be running around in trying to get things done. I got to pull that out. Okay, so you're not going to be able to see that because, as I said, Lynn's not going to come out here and film. So what'll happen is I'm going to have to crawl up there with the ladder, which is, as you can see, because of the barn-style roof, makes it a little more difficult. I'm going to have to sweep all the snow off so the water doesn't pour into the building and destroy the books inside. Okay, so as you look at this lovely snow, I'm going to explain something. So a lot of people are always like, Selena, why are you so bitter? You have a good life. You have a great life. You have an amazing life. You have a nice home. You have all these outbuildings. You have this nice farm. This is all work, people. It's all work I had to do with shit. Why am I bitter? Because in my life, when a limb goes through a roof, I'm the one who has to fix it. I don't have the money to wave the magic wand and say, somebody come fix it. Now you might say, well, at least you know how to fix it. If it was me, I would have to hire someone and I wouldn't have the money. And then it would put me in debt, blah, 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 yakety yak, yakety yak. Okay, so I guess I could say, oh, I'm lucky. At least I know how to fix the hole the giant limb punched in the roof of the book room. But I am sick to death of it could have been worse being what passes for good news in this pathetic-ass world. But at any rate, it is pretty, though. It is pretty. And see the cedar tree? This is probably why the limbs came down. See underneath the cedar tree? See how there's no snow? There never was. This snow came down. It was so big, so wet, so heavy, and there was no wind that it fell straight down. And so it built up on the tree limbs. So, and wet snow is heavy, so it took some of them down. And I don't even know if I have damage anyplace else. That's just the damage I found that has to be dealt with immediately. I hope there's nothing else. So, There you go, people. That's what's going on here. Hey, Tic Tac. Good morning.
We are on.
Okay, so know this. I'm sure you already know this. If you, well, you know, if you want your partner to do something, just say they're not going to do it. You already know that's true, though. Okay, if you'll get back over there.
Yes.
So you can see, I've got to move the ladder anyway because now I have to check and see if there's a hole on the other side.
There are two there, you said.
Yes, can you see them?
Yes, I can.
Okay, see what I did, peoples? I removed all the snow from around them and above them so that as it melts, it won't run in those holes. Because it's colder than shit right now. And the materials you use and everything else don't like to be used in cold. Plus, I don't like to work in the cold.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hope that's not another hole.
This came down over here.
It's not.
Oh, thank goodness.
Okay, so that's good. All right.
It's just where it hit. It's not a hole.
It's just not a hole, yeah. Just knocked some of the snow off. But at any rate.
Those other holes, do they go through the wood, the plywood?
Yes, they go all the way through
lovely.
the decking.
Oh, great.
That's what he said. Lynn was like, well, if you'd gotten the steel roof on there, because you remember when we were doing this, we didn't have enough pieces to do the roof, so we just did the sides. Yes, this is the building I just fixed.
Yes.
The roof that I just cleaned and all that stuff.
Right.
Okay. If steel had been on there, it would have just punched a hole in the steel.
Because it went straight through it.
Well, because it went all the way through the
It was a big limb out of that tree.
As you can see, show this limb. This is a big
Yes.
limb. That's why.
Yeah. And that's what went straight through at least one part of it right there.
Yeah. And it fell because it was already dead.
Yeah, you can tell.
But it's not long dead because it's still heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let's look on the bright side. Now that we had this, I won't run out of firewood.
Oh, yay. Oh, this one and the one that came down next door. There's one that came down next door, and then we got
There's one that came down and hit two of the picnic tables at the venue. It came down over there, but I built those so they weren't damaged.
Exactly.
But both it and this one, I already took a picture of this snag.
Wow.
But yeah, the other one is also a snag, which is what you get a lot of in ice storms.
Did you picture the way it went around the?
Oh, I don't know.
That's my grandfather's bird bath that he built.
And it missed it.
And it missed
well,
it completely.
Like I said, the other one managed to fall right on the picnic tables, but didn't actually break them. But snags are what happens. A lot of the trees get damaged just like this.
Yeah.
In an ice storm. And snags are the most dangerous thing to cut. What I'll literally do is come in here and cut the limbs up and cut that side up, and then I'll put a rope on it, take the tractor and pull it this way and pull it out so that the heavy part is out of the tree. But I've got to cut all this stuff off first, or it's gonna flop right on that bird bath.
Right, exactly.
And I'll have to do the same thing with the tree at the other place. And the tree at the other place, I think this one, I don't know. This one, I don't think this one was dead either. No, it is not dead. This was a live branch.
Yay.
Now, it might have had some damage in it because this is an ancient tree.
Right.
So it might have had some damage in it somewhere, but that was a green branch. The one that fell at the other place was a green branch. Oh, look on the bright side. None of the treehouse trees were touched. So thank God for that.
Yeah.
Nothing fell on the treehouse. Knock wood. Nothing fell on this. So if it will not rain the rest of the day and the snow will clear off of that and it will warm up enough, then I'll go and fix that.
Yay.
But right now, no, like I said, people, why are you bitter? I bought muck boots. These are muck boots. There's really nothing wrong with them, except there's a hole in the bottom of this one. My foot is now sloshing in 2 inches of water.
Yay.
Cold, frozen water.
Okay, of course, I was gone when she did this, so I'm going to take a picture of the two patches she put on, And then I'm going to go inside and have her explain what she did. So I'm going to zoom in. There's one there. And there's one there. Yeah, I was gone less than an hour and a half. Of course. Be right back. Okay, you're on.
All right. Hello. Okay, so I have already removed all the debris, fixed the holes, and patched them. I have a model of efficiency.
Yep.
A cold, wet, sore, tired model of efficiency. So Lynn wasn't here, so I will tell you what I did. So I went over to one of my junk rooms, and I knew I had some pieces of steel left over, some remnants pieces left over from doing the shop roof. What was the shop roof built out of, children? Recycled steel.
Right.
So I took a remnant from the recycled steel that I used to do the roof.
Right.
Okay, I took two of them, I cut them to the size that I wanted to go up underneath the shingle, cover the entire hole. Why did I do that? Because the freaking limbs punched holes all the way through the deck board.
Right.
Okay, it was wafer board. The little building had a deck made out of wafer board, punched a hole right through the wafer board. So, and I didn't want to have to cut it out and put in another piece of wafer board and then put shingles, which I don't have any left over anyway.
Right.
Because I think I used them up on that last patch.
I think you did.
Okay, so I cut them and then I took them over. I drilled holes in them so that I could nail them, tack them to the wafer board.
Right.
I took him to the back of my truck. Okay, first off, here's a little handy hint. I knew I was going to have to use roofing tar.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the roofing tar from the shop where, as I've told you, I keep it in the freezer. Although I don't have to because it wouldn't freeze anyway.
Yeah, it's an old freezer.
But it's thicker than shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so tar is thick. It's hard to work with. So I brought it in here and left it on the hearth next to the stove for about 30 minutes. And that made it pliable for most of the application. The
Right.
rest of it was still harder than shit. Okay, but then so I took my little pieces of metal, and before I even took them up on the roof, I put tar all the way around the edge that was going to go down.
Right.
I just made a nice thick, with my little spackling tool, my little trolley thing.
Right.
I put a tar knife, whatever you want to call it. I put all the way around the outside edge.
Right.
Okay. Then I went up to the roof and I punched out the stuff that was sticking up. The wafer, in other words, the wafer board went through. When you pulled the sticks out, it came up. I broke all the stuff off that was
So you cleared the messy
loose.
stuff up.
I
Right.
cleaned it all out, took it away. Left me one hole was this big. What was sad is the hole that I didn't think was the big one was bigger because it was longer.
Oh.
And you couldn't see because it had just moved the shingles.
Right.
But anyway, so what I wound up doing was I took a bunch of old styrofoam packing stuff, that kind of malleable, pliable, it's almost like closed cell foam.
But not
In fact,
quite.
That's probably what it is. It's closed cell foam.
But really
But it's
stiff.
stuff that's used for packing material. But you can fold, so I folded it up, I cut it into chunks and folded it up, put it in the hole and then popped it back out to hold up the decking and make it even before I put the thing on. Then I put tar all around the freaking
break.
hole, the
Right.
opening. Then I shoved the pieces up underneath the shingles above. Well, first I had to take a hammer and loosen that line
Right.
because, of course, they seal
Right.
because they have that tar strip,
Right.
so they seal. If they don't, they're not a good rubber. Anyway, so I had to break that seal. I broke that with the claws of my hammer,
Right.
very carefully because it was cold.
Right.
They'll break really easily. Okay, so I shoved the metal up underneath there. I nailed it down with the holes that I already pre-drilled.
Right. Right.
I tarred those nail holes,
Right.
and then I tarred that upper
So
seam.
where you had broken the seal?
Where I
Yeah.
had broken the seal
Uh-huh.
between the steel and the shingle.
Wow.
That's what I did.
So we basically now have 2 steel shingles up there.
We have 2 steel shingles up there. Should be a good patch. And because I did it earlier, I went up there and got all the snow off the roof.
Right.
I did that. No water even reached the inside because I did it fast enough that it hadn't started to melt and run in yet. Because I did it when I took it all off when it was
right. Yeah, when it was still frozen.
Basically frozen this
Right.
morning. So it didn't go down in the hole. No snow was in the hole.
Oh, good.
And it was perfectly dry
Good.
down in there. So I managed to fix it all before, and now it's covered, and no matter what happens, it should be fine.
It should be fine, and then when you do put a steel roof on there,
Someday
you'll
when I
just
put a steel
put it
roof
over
on
it.
I'll just go, well, and I used it so I didn't have to rebuild the deck. That's
Right.
why I built those little steel things. But yes, I got very wet and very cold.
Now you're very tired.
And now I'm very tired. But I got it off. I got all the logs taken off the roof, and then I fixed the holes.
Yeah, so what's the difference between dry snow and wet snow? There are still, right now, over almost 24 hours after the first outage, there's still over 10,000 people in the area out of power.
Well, because the wet snow, and that's all we had.
Yeah.
We didn't have ice.
Uh-uh.
In fact, when
It
I
didn't-
were talking, it didn't technically freeze last
Uh-uh.
night. It hovered around 33.
Uh-huh.
The wind chill factor kept it cold enough that we still had some accumulation, but it was like weird because we had like, if it hadn't been melting as quickly because of how fast it fell so fast, despite the fact that it wasn't actually freezing.
Mm-hmm.
We probably got between 4 and 6 inches here.
Mm-hmm. We did, officially.
But we never had more than a 2-inch accumulation.
Right.
But now it's still above freezing, and we still have snow on
Yeah,
everything.
we still have, well,
Snow
look.
on most things.
Can you see the roof there, folks?
Yeah, and at one point, that's why I say 4 to 6 inches,
That's
because
how much snow
when
is
I
still
got
out
up
there.
this morning, I should have taken a picture of that. There was 4 inches of snow on that roof.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
Well.
anyway, so that's all for now. Don't be poor. What can I say?
Bye.
Bye.
And here is the other damage. This is next door. This is days later. You can see it came down right on top of one of the picnic tables that Selena built, one of the benches. Table and bench are in perfect shape. That limb is still hanging a little bit onto the tree, not a lot. She's already done some work on it, has taken off some of the greenery, nipped some of it, because she's been feeding it gradually to the goats because they love it. So it's not as bad as it was. It looked really bad initially. It was quite a snowstorm. It really was. Be well and safe.